Hello, everyone. My name is Tony, and I'm a grateful alcoholic. Um, Today, I'm going to be going over step one, more about alcoholism, and I'm going to leave probably a little intro that in a separate video that'll probably go more into detail why I decided to do this sort of big book study. But I'm going to be putting up a picture from my big book, and I'm going to pretty much go through it. Because this is the only way that I kind of know how to do it. Um, so I'm gonna read it, and I'm just gonna go over some of my notes. I use a big book that I bought online that my sponsor told me about. I actually got mine from Amazon, but there's another website that sells it, sometimes cheaper. And if I could find a link, I'll put it down in the description at some point throughout this workshop. But if you look here, this is what my book kind of looks like. I believe if someone once said if your big book is a mess, then that means you're not. So it might look like a little sloppy, a little messy, a lot on the lines, a lot of box, making over words and circles. But this is how I remember key points in it. And what I like about this book is it's just pretty much it has a whole book. It's a big book. It's called I call it Anonymous Big Book Study, and it has the book pages on one side, and then a blank page on next to it where you can just write some notes. And as we go up, I'm just gonna pretty much just show my notes here that I made on this page, and and just read from my other page. Try to shrink it a little bit. So again, like I said, this is more about alcoholism, and I'm gonna pause my screen for a little bit here, so I could just focus on the pages. All right, so more about alcoholism in this chapter. There's three very important stories from AA. Probably one of the most famous stories in this book that people may talk about. And the little analogies that Bill puts in here. And one of them is the man at 30, Jim, the jaywalker, and Fred. So four stories. I don't know if I said three, but there's four. There are four stories. And in the first story, going to talk about a little bit of willpower. And the second story, and maybe the third and the fourth is about the mental obsession and something I call mental blank spots and an obsession of the mind. So before we get into it, I just want to find another. I just want to. Let me stop sharing for a second here. I just want to get to another page. All right, so I had to go bring up scan another page that I wanted to talk about at a later date, so I'll keep it all on the same file. So like I was saying, this is we're gonna talk about three stories a little later on in the chapter. But right now let's get into it. So it starts by saying most of us have been unwilling to admit we were real alcoholics. First, I want to point out that big M in the beginning of a lot of the chapters here. You'll see like the first letter are capitalized, and a lot of times, Bill, when he writes something, he does it. He has a purpose behind his madness, and I usually start off the first line or two, at least for a paragraph. I say most of us, all of us, we, um, something like that. To make an effort that it's a we program. It's not just you doing it by yourself or I doing it by myself. We gotta all do it together. So that's why I have us underlined right here. So it says most of us have been unwilling to admit we are alcoholics. No person likes to think he's bodily and mentally different from his fellows, right? Which makes a lot of sense, right? No one, we never want to admit that there's something weird about us, right? That there's something wrong. Um, And it goes to say, therefore, it's not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove we could drink like other people. And it's funny that he uses the word careers, because I have a little notation to me that um, you know, it's our drinking careers was almost like our job. It was like work. 24 hours for most of us. Drinking or drugging, whatever it was. It took a lot of work. Whether it was hiding our drinking, or trying to get money to drink, or deciding hiding bottles and stuff like that. It took a lot of work. Someone once made a joke that the only time he wasn't drinking was no, he didn't drink all day. He only drank half a day. Another half he spent sleeping. So it's a lot of work. So it says it has been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove you can drink like other people. The idea that somehow someday we will control and enjoy his drinking, it's a great obsession of every abnormal drinker. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. And you see, I have a lot of words boxed off here. And the first one I want to point to is the word control. All right, I think in this one page, he uses the word control at least 4 to 5 times. And this is where we first see the word control. All right, because when you think about our drinking, and our disease, and just trying to handle the day. It was all really about us just trying to control the situation, and just trying to control our nerves, our shakes. So it's all about us just trying to control the day, and get our drink on, or get a high on. So when he goes to say, then he uses the word obsession, right? Great obsession. So it's a great obsession, and I call this, or the obsession of the mind. And a lot of stuff that I'm saying today, or in my future workshops, if I continue to do this, is not, like I didn't come up with it. A lot of it came from like Joe and Charlie. A lot of it came from my sponsor, and a lot of it came from from reading other books, and also going to a lot of big book meetings. So the great obsession of every normal drinker, right, is that we can be normal, right? We can be like everybody else, right? That's to me one reason why a lot of times we may relapse, right? Because we always think that this time's gonna be different. Just let me have one drink. So let me just try one line of this, one hit of that, and see how it goes. So that's the great obsession of the mind. It says persistence of this illusion, right? It's illusion, almost in a delusion, is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. So here you see he's talking about insanity. He's talking about insaneness, craziness, right? Because our disease is a disease that affects the mind and the body. And he talks about death, right? Well, Bill gives a lot of death promises here, or guarantees, right? Our disease is progressive, and if it's not treated, if nothing's done with it, it'll take us into the gates of hell, and into the morgue. And that's what he's talking about. Like, many people have tried to control the drinking. Like I said, the word control is up there, and they pursued this. Pursuit is almost like the cops chasing somebody. You're in pursuit of something. You're trying to achieve your goal, and your goal is just to be able to drink normally. And as we go through the steps, as we go through the book, we're going to see that unfortunately we can't. So so I also have some other side notes out here. Normal people. I have something that says here it's a lie. So normal people don't drink like this. And us trying to fool ourselves that we can be like normal people. That's the big illusion, right? That's the big obsession. I'm going to the next paragraph here. It says, and this is where we find our step one. It says we learned we had to fully concede, and the word fully, right? I have I have a notation over it, and I'll go over it in a second. It says we have to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics, right? And then, I have no, not you, not one half. So that's kind of like telling me is like, we have to concede to ourselves, not 100%, right? No half measures here, 100% that we're alcoholics. And then this is like a big issue, the problems that some people face, and when it comes down to acceptance, a lot of people can't accept that they're alcoholic, or they still think, maybe they think they're maybe a little bit of an alcoholic. So a lot of people have trouble. They say they did step one, or they read step one, but until you really accept it within your heart that you are an alcoholic, and that your life really became unmanageable, you won't be able to really um, um, take in all the other steps. Because steps are meant to be done in order. So a lot of people struggle with one, and then sometimes two, and then three, and you just kind of like bounce back and forth between one, two, three. My sponsor used to call it the 1, 2, 3 shuffle. Like a dance. You can never go forward because you keep trying to go back. So again, this delusion that we are like other people, or presently maybe or has to be smashed, right? Delusion that we are like other people, or presently maybe that you may be like others, has to be smashed. And I have here that this belief needs to be 100% smashed, right? Again, no half measures here. And it's either you believe this or you don't believe it. It's a yes or no answer. But until you can fully accept that we are different, and sometimes different is good. You know, um, that we're not like everybody else. We're a special breed. You're gonna have trouble working a program. You're just gonna hover around in AA and stuff until you really take this stuff in. And then once you come to this acceptance part, and you smash this belief out of your head, then I think that's when really the fighting stops. The fight is over, as I have here. So we're going to the into the next line. It says, we alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking. And there's another control there. We know that no real alcoholics ever recovers control. Again, using control again. And he's got this word ever italicized, and or the funky fancy little font here. Whenever Bill writes changes the font, he wants you to reread that line, pay attention, because he's trying to put a point there. And he uses the word recover here, because we are not cured, right? He never uses the word cured any part of the book. This is a disease, and there's no cure for it. We just recover. Some people use the analogy like cancer. Some people never, cancer patients, you rarely hear them say that I'm cured from cancer. Everybody says I'm in remission, right? Or I'm recovering, or I'm cancer free. So there's really no cure for alcoholism. It's always going to be inside of us. So it says we know no alcoholic ever recovers recovers control. All of us felt the times we're regaining control again, but such individuals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control again, word control, which led in time to the pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization, fancy words, right? We are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of a progressive illness. So right there, that's exactly what I just said, right? We are in a progressive illness, and this illness, the place that majority of the time, the places if you're going to keep on drinking, the places that you're going to progress to usually are three locations. There's three roads where this illness will take you to, and or three end of the roads, and those three are jail, institutions, or death sentence. Right. So progressive illness, which means it's going to get worse, worse, worse. You're going to die. You're going to go to jail, or you're going to end up in some type of insane institution, or whatever other institutions are out there, and you're never going to get out of it. And then it says, over any considerable period, we get worse and never get better. All right, we are like men who have lost their legs and they never grow new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment with which will make alcoholics of 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 our kind like any other men. We have tried every imaginable remedy. In some instance, there have been, brief recovery, followed always by a still worse relapse. Physicians, and these are the AA doctors that I have here, who are familiar with alcoholism, agree that there is no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. Science may one day accomplish this, but it hasn't been done yet. So we go back to 30 over here. So you can look at what I just read here, what Bill wrote here, saying that over a period we get worse, we never get better, right? And he's making an analogy that we're like like people who lost their legs. That's what our disease is. We never, it can never, it never gets better, right? And he's telling you, and this was written in 1938. He says, in 1938, there didn't appear to be any type of treatment which make alcoholics of our kind like other men. So here we are in 2023, almost 80 years ago. 80 years have passed, and there still hasn't really been any type of pill or any type of magic cure that would allow us to drink normally. And he goes on to say, that they've tried every other thing they could to try to stop for a little while, but when you get back to drinking, it just gets worse, 10 times worse. And it's funny, he goes to say that science may one day accomplish this, but it hasn't done yet. So who knows? Maybe another 80 years from now, they might come up with something. So before I go into the next paragraph here, I just want to make a reference to the page 24. So if you want to turn your book to page 24, and I'll explain what paragraph there that I want to read. I make a lot of, like I said, I make a lot of notations, a lot of reminders. Sometimes you jump back and forth between pages because they kind of relate to each other. A lot of it, my sponsor brought the attention of it to me, and some of it I heard at Big Book meetings. So I want to go back and just talk about this great obsession here, right? On top of this chapter here, chapter 3, because I think it's a good point, and I'm going to try to compare it to page 24. So here again, we're talking about the obsession in the mind, right? The great obsession that one day, someday, we can drink like other people, okay? And I think that's one part of why people a lot of times relapse, okay? Because we had the desire just to be like a normie, to be like normal people. Then we look at page 24. In the chapter, there is a solution, and on the second paragraph, Bill talks about something which is or he calls, or I call, someone told me he's called, my sponsor spoke about, these mental blank spots, right? And he has this thing here italicized. And again, when Bill has something italicized, it's something that we have to kind of like pay attention to. So here he goes on to say that the fact is that most alcoholics, for reasons yet obscure, have lost the power of choice in drink. Our so-called willpower becomes practically non-existent. We are unable at certain times to bring into our consciousness the sufficient force, the memory, and the suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago. We are without a defense against the first drink. He says the the almost certain consequences that follows taking even a glass of beer doesn't crowd into our mind. That's important. The consequence of drinking doesn't come into our head when we're in this state, right? Of us, thinking about drinking again. So it doesn't come into our mind to deter us. If the thoughts occur, if they do happen, they hazily and readily supplanted in the old Therabear idea that this time we shall handle ourselves like other people. Again, just like the obsession of the mind, right? We can this time it'll be different. We can drink just like like Johnny our neighbors, or just like the Joneses, or we can survive this one this time. Um it goes there as a complete failure of the kind of defense that keeps one from putting his hand on a hot stove. So so he's talking about a defense, and then if you go over here, progressive illness, I believe here he talks about defenses also. So somewhere on this page, if not, it's coming to my head from somewhere else. But the key point here is that we are without the defense against the first drink. Okay, so what he's saying here, and this is what we call mental blank spots, is that um, you know like why do people sometimes relapse? You know what? Because we forget um, the stupid shit that we did in the past, right? That's what a mental blank spot is in basic English. We forget our last drunks. We forget the carnage that we did, the people that we hurt, DW's going to jail, getting beat up, whatever, waking up in a strange place, or whatever destruction we did at the last party that we were at, embarrassed the shit out of our family. So those are mental blank spots, right? Forgetting what all the crap you did in the past. Then you go to the obsession of the mind. This is like the yin and yang. The obsession of the mind over here is telling us that, hey, you could be different. You can be different this time. You could be normal, right? You can survive this. You can drink, or you can do that, that line, or take that hit, or smoke. You could take one smoke, one hit, whatever. You can do it. So here you have your head, or your mind or your soul in a battle. On the left side is saying I think I can, and then on the right side is saying hell yeah you can, and it's not even and neither sides of your brain are remembering, hey, what, remember the last time all this crazy thought and thinking started, and what you had to do, or where you ended up. So we have to battle this great obsession in our minds all the time, right? Um, that and I still have it. I had 3 years sober, and I still have it. That, hey, I see my neighbors drinking. I go to a party. Now here is it's in October here now, and Halloween's coming up, and it's one of my favorite holidays. And go trick or treating. Got the wagon for the kids, with the going to put the candy in, and I got the cooler in the wagon, and you know uh, a beer here and a beer there. It's one of my favorite drinking holidays. So that obsession is always there. But what helps keep that obsession at bay is trying to remember, why I'm here, and the shit that I went through last time. And when you stop remembering those things, that's like what you call the mental blank spots. So this is why I believe a lot of times people will relapse, and that's why it's important to keep hitting meetings, and and working with your sponsor and doing service work, because when you go to meetings and you hear people's stories, um, you always find that you relate to something. So what does that relating mean? It means you're remembering the dumb shit that you did in the past, and that remembering, right, is removing the mental blank spots. or is keeping those mental blank spots buried down. So, you will stay sober another day. So that's why it's important to keep going to meetings so we never forget the crap that we did. So that's mental blank spots on page 24. Like I just said, and then page 30 is session of the mind. Because a lot of time when I'm going through this, I might say, "Oh, see," you might see my notes say, "See page 30, see page 24." As to like, why are people doing, why, especially when we talk about the stories, what are people, why are people doing this, why do people relapse and stuff. Um, so um, I think for this part, I'm just gonna take a pause, and then this is my first video here, so I'm just gonna check back and see how the recording took, and then I'm gonna continue with this chapter and going over step one and stuff like that. So to the so so to the next video, and I hope this one worked out good. Um, I know maybe it might have been a little bit long, but like I said, when I'm doing the workshop, I'm gonna kind of like stop and talk about some of my thoughts, some of my points, some of the things that I remember, some stories that I read from some of the other books, or the history books, and um and then we'll just keep going with the next page, with the next video. So till then, Tony out.